Yeah, you're right. A lot of work has been done since last year on the sprint course. We have a new section right after the start, so the first uphill is different than it used to be. Then after the first downhill, there's again a new section, turning point around a lamppost, which takes us down to the lowest point on the course. And then there's a long, famous Dorsey climb, which takes us to the highest point on the course. But then we do not go to the finish like before, but we continue on the straight, make a U-turn and go under the bridge to the stadium with lower speed. So hopefully you're going to see exciting competitions today. The speed in general, entering the longest climb is smaller, slower than it used to be. So definitely more effort for the athletes to do. It is almost 1.6 kilometer long course. So yeah, not a short one definitely. And a very nice downhill to the end, so it's going to be exciting. I think the turning point around the lamppost will be quite important to find the right position. And then, of course, good pace all the way up to the top, but keep up the pace, speed on the flat before descent.
Thank you, Michael, and good luck.
Thank you.
Clemens, how was it going the Olympic course here in Val di Fiemme?
It's very cool. The race was very hard, but it was cool.
And what is your plan now in the heats?
I don't have any plan. Just try to follow the girl, and that's it.
It's your first time qualifying in the heats. How does it feel?
It feels very good.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Jan Strøbe, that was a really good qualification. You're currently 6th. How was it?
Oh, it was a definitely really brutal course. I just tried my best. Keep the rhythm, don't overpace at the beginning. I think I did a very good job in that.
How does it feel that this is the Olympic course that you're going to race in 1 month?
It feels definitely good to make such a good prologue now here. I know I'm capable, I know I can be really good at this course, and it's good to know.
What is your plan today then?
Just try my best and see how far we'll come with it.
Congratulations, good luck.
Thank you.
How was the heat for you?
I'm happy. I was curious about the new track, and yes, I hope to be here in February. So it was fun.
How do you feel like the track suits you?
It's a bit strange because the last years was not like this. It's good. It's a good track. It's a hard track, and yes, I'm happy to be here and had tried.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Simone Morcellini, how was this? That was a good qualification.
Yes, actually. It was a bit tough in the uphill because I struggled a bit with the grip, but at the end it was a good quali, especially because I have half of my town here cheering for me. So I had to push really fast for them because they took a day of holiday for me, so I had to push for them also.
And how was the new course for you?
Oh, I like every time here in Val di Fiemme. It's my second home. I live 1 hour from here, and so I have good memories since when I was young in this track. I must say here, I'm really always really good good performance. I did even from World Cup to the Italian Championship. So hopefully today will be as the past, but we will see step by step.
Good luck today.
Thank you so much.
Affected by this tragedy. The international skiing community stands united in mourning and solidarity. Thank you.
Signore e signori, prima di proseguire con il solidarietà. Grazie.
Joanna Martin-Kala, 156.
Today's fifth Tour de Ski stage has been a goal of the world's best sprinters all calendar year. It's a rare trial run at the Olympic Classic Sprint on the official course, scheduled for February 10th, which is a new course on a familiar venue. Meanwhile, American Jessie Diggins looks to solidify her third career Tour de Ski overall victory in her farewell tour, while Johannes Klæbo looks to stand alone as the only five-time Tour de Ski winner at the end of tomorrow's climb to Alpe d'Huez. Time bonuses today at the finish line of this sprint are critical to those goals. It's the women's and men's 1.5 kilometer classic sprint on the 2026 Olympic course, stages 5 of 6 of this 20th FIS Tour de Ski. Welcome to Val di Fiemme. I'm Chad Salmo with Keegan Randall on a nearly dressed Olympic stadium that you can feel the anticipation of as you look at the venue. This penultimate Tour de Ski stage, Keegan. Let's start with how the Tour is a tough nut to crack for sprint stars.
Well, even though some of these athletes have been able to kind of take the distance races a little slower, try to conserve some energy, it's still multiple days of racing, and that just takes it out of you day after day. You add in the travel, where they went from Toblach to Val di Fiemme yesterday, and that's what makes this tour a bit of a tough nut to crack.
We saw that Christina Stavos-Skistad was trying to do everything she could to spend as little energy as she could to get here, and it was making headlines. And then she pulls up today and isn't on the start. But let's hear about this new course by Mikael Lampe.
We have a new section right after the start, so the first uphill is different than it used to be. Then after the first downhill, there's again a new section, turning point around a lamppost, which takes us down to the lowest point on the course. And then there's the long, famous Dorsey climb, which takes us to the highest point on the course. But then we do not go to the finish like before, but we continue on the straight, make a U-turn and go under the bridge to the stadium with lower speed. So hopefully you're going to see exciting competitions today. The speed in general, entering the longest climb is smaller, slower than it used to be. So definitely more effort for the athletes to do. It is almost 1.6 kilometer long course. So yeah, not a short one definitely. And a very nice downhill to the end. So it's going to be exciting. I think the turning point around the lamppost will be quite important to find the right position. And then, of course, good pace all the way up to the top, but keep up the pace, speed on the flat before descent.
Thank you, Michael, and good luck.
Thank you.
Well, Keegan Randall, the course has a lot of stuff, a lot of parts we recognize from the passes. You see the top 5 in these standings of the sprint globe. But we were talking to Michael Lamplot there, and we see the familiar climbs, the familiar downhills, but they're kind of turned into different directions than we're used to seeing. And definitely a very long course as we're seeing. The women's qualifiers time winner was 3:46. So what does that tell you about this new course?
Well, I think the athletes thought they had a good idea of what the Olympic course was going to be, and then showing up here in 2026, it is quite a surprise. I think when you look back at the finals here in Val di Fiemme last year, there was so much movement happening off the downhill, and you just had to tactically get it right. And I think that is a little bit challenging when you come into an Olympics where you're really trying to showcase the best athletes in the world. So the organizers have taken that into account, and they've reworked it. And I think we have a very different sprint course than we saw a year ago.
Yeah, word on the ground is that it's very hard. I just got a text from Matt Whitcomb. He said that it surprised a lot of people, and it's very, very hard. And you still have to play with the ski speed into the stadium. They try to dissipate some of the speed that was determining the winners last year in this new course profile as they were carrying immense speed in the finish. And that seems to have been alleviated to some extent, but still, you still need to play that game. And the climbing is so big that you need to keep the grip hard. So Wax Techs are going to have their hands full, both on this day and a good trial run for the Olympic Games. And Keegan, what does it mean just over a month to get a chance to try to actually do a dry run of an Olympic event? It's very rare.
It is very rare, and especially when you look at the last few editions of the Olympic Games where you were in brand new, far-off venues like Beijing. You know, the athletes did not get to preview those courses at all. They all just had to show up, but then everybody showed up with an even slate. And here now the athletes competing today on the course are going to get a leg up over the athletes sitting at home right now.
See the first heat of 5 quarterfinals on this venue that really kind of became a centerpiece of World Cup cross-country skiing when it became the World Championship site back in 1991. Has held the World Championships, I believe, 3 times since then, and now the Olympic Games. So Val di Fiemme is now the centerpiece of the world of cross-country skiing for certainly the month of February, but we get a taste of it here as you see heat number 1 with number 1 fastest qualifier Yasmin Yoansu. There's Maya Dahlquist. She's surprisingly only qualified, I say only 24th, because she is usually a very quick qualifier, but she chose heat number 1 against Yoansu, the fastest qualifier, Moa Lundgren, the 5th fastest qualifier. You have Anja Weber in here from Switzerland, Katarina Gans of Italy having a great season, and Pia Fink of Germany did not start after qualifying 23rd. She is pulled out.
I think you definitely see some attrition by this point in the Tour de Ski, and especially in Olympic season. There's athletes, if they feel on the edge at all, they're not going to take any chances because we are just about a month to go until the Olympic Games, and when you've worked your whole career for a high point like that, you just don't want to risk it this close.
Yeah, the fact that Kristina Stavashistad, who is really kind of a focal point in Toblach, just trying to get to this sprint. She's in last place in the Tour de Ski standings coming in to this stage. So she didn't really have anything going for her there, but she was trying to get to try this course out. But, you know, you wake up with a sore throat, and, you know, she's not going to risk her Olympic chances on a try run.
Yeah, and well, and especially, you know, she may have had the chance to see this course and decided if it's long and grueling like that, it could take a lot out of you.
Absolutely, and it's running quite a bit longer, almost 1.6 kilometers, which is it's about 3/10 of a kilometer longer than last year's course.
And about 50 seconds longer, and that is a big change in a sprint when you're trying to find the line between full anaerobic power for that really snappy sprint speed, but not running out of gas on these final climbs.
So maybe some tactics early as to how hard to go out on this course. I think there's going to be a lot of adjustments being made today, and we're kind of watching that happen in real time. This course, you can recognize this course if you watched Val di Fiemme for many years. This is actually, they're coming up a place where you're used to seeing them coming down, and this uphill downhill section sort of reversed, so to speak, to set up the way they come into the stadium.
Well, and a lot more turns than we saw on last year's course. So as the races get tighter and tighter through the day, it'll be interesting to see if those turns take into account the strategy.
So this section, of course, you see here is just kind of reconfigured to look opposite of what it was. But a different approach to it. Jasmine Jonsu, good number 1 for Finland, now feeling like she's close enough to the finish line to start to force her will on the rest of the field and use her energy. And she immediately gets a little bit of gap on Moa Lundgren, the second fastest qualifier, bib number 5 on the left. But Maja Dahlqvist keeping tabs and keeping Jonsu within striking distance. Jonsu currently sitting a surprising 4th overall in the Tour de Ski, just 155 back. She is absolutely thrilled with her 4th place finish in the 20-kilometer classic the other day. Her best finish of the year, and it was in a 20K classic, this is the Sprint Globe winner last year that has her best result in the 20K classic. And she's having some great aerobic fitness, it seems.
She is, and I mean, she's deeper into her career, so that makes sense. You, when you put in training years after years, if you have that natural raw speed at the beginning, it's there, but with the training comes the ability to do well in the longer distance races. And, you know, I think that I doubt she expected to be this high up in the Tour de Ski, but she is buoyed by those good results every single day. But here we get the first look at the new speed coming into the downhill. So Jonsu smarting out front there, but looks like the fight for second place still to be decided.
This is what the organizers of the Olympic Games and this venue were trying to adjust, and it looks like it has adjusted. They were coming in last year with immense amount of speed. They're still moving pretty quickly, but a lot of them were really staying at tuck almost to near the finish line, within 50 meters of the finish line. So it seems like that part of the course, at least in this first heat, it looked like that has been addressed well.
Yeah, I think it was just so tactical last year. The men were definitely going up and over that tunnel area without having to pull at all. And so you just saw anyone who tried to lead over the top of the hill, even if they got a bit of a lead, just were completely surpassed by the competitors around them.
And I think that they had a distance classic race in last year's Tour de Ski as well, and I think we saw that issue in every single one of these the race of the Tour de Ski last year. That this venue had an issue with how the speed was coming into the finish line. That I think we all looked ahead and said, "Oh, it could be a very difficult to swallow Olympic Games if that's how you're going to win here." But I think, you know, with one heat in, it looks like we're doing pretty well. They did well with the adjustment.
Yeah, and I think heat number 1 here, maybe at the disadvantage of having to go out first and not getting to see how other heats have unfolded. But as the subsequent heats go now here, we'll just gain more and more information on how that downhill is performing.
So you see Moa Lundgren, Moa Lundgren and Anja Weber are the lucky loser spot at 350.147 and 350.361. And the qualifiers are Jasmine Jonsu and 349.00 and 349.86. So a little bit of a gap there between the two outright qualifiers and the lucky losers. We'll keep an eye on that as the race unfolds as we go to heat number 2 now of 5. This features Moa Ilar, the 3rd qualifier, and currently sitting in second spot, 136 back, chasing Jessie Diggins for that overall Tour de Ski victory. This is number 11, Nicole Monsorno. She's had a best finish so far of 20th in toe block sprint last week, the freestyle sprint. There's Moa Ilar, third fastest qualifier on the day. Yasmin Kahara, bib number 10, has had a rough go of it in the, well, not terribly rough go of it, but more of a sprint skier who can ski distant, but currently sitting in the 37th spot overall. Julia Kern, bib 18, qualifying 18th. She's sitting 18th in the overall World Cup or the overall Tour de Ski standings as well. A good performance and showing by Julia Kern overall at this Tour de Ski. Nadia Kaelin, the 24-year-old from Switzerland, she's had a great season, got a great last 365 plus days. She's sitting 19th in the overall standings and as a 11th in the 20-kilometer freestyle Ruka as her top performance so far. So a lot of distance skiers getting a chance now in this Tour de Ski to sprint.
Yeah, that's always been kind of an excitement of this by this point in the Tour de Ski. You have some sprint athletes that have not made it this far. You have other athletes that have decided to drop out, and then you have just the fatigue in the legs. So even someone who's normally putting together really solid fast qualifiers may not find that they have as much zip. So it allows some of your more traditional distance skiers who have so much stamina to last these consecutive days, they will make it deep into the heats.
These first two heats are mostly athletes who have excelled at sprinting to some extent. All but one of the qualifiers in the first two heats have sprint rankings in the top 40 for the season. We had Pia Fink ranked 71st sprinter, but she did not show up. But later in the start order, we have several athletes who have yet to score even a World Cup point in the top 50 in the sprint competition. That's Frida Carlson doesn't have a point in this discipline. Neither does Dilma Nissen or Heidi Bang, Märta Rosenberg, Stadlober, Didier Laurent, all people who have not had a sprint top 50. So here they are in the Tour de Ski with a chance for some sprint points. At the back of this group, that's bib 19. That is Ingrid Bergener Albrecht. Just her 8th World Cup start here. She's gotten the lion's share of her starts of her World Cup career on this Tour de Ski. Still largely together though. Nobody really forcing their will at this point. So maybe just sensing that even to get through to the finals, you have to conserve some energy in the heats just to try to hang on.
Well, there's now 3 major climbs on this course. You see them climb out of the stadium, short descent up that hill we just saw, which they're calling the Maycor climb, and then now they come into the famous Dorsey climb, which looked like it had some meat to it in that first heat.
Yeah, it's a long climb. You can see it.
Sorry, Zorzi uphill.
The Zorzi uphill, here it is. The gradient, 19.3%. Try climbing that on your bike. Here is Yasmin Kehara now, leading the way, but right on the shoulder is Moa Ilar, the 3rd fastest qualifier. I have to say, Ilar has been able to she is showing that she has all the gears. She's got high anaerobic power output, she's got great fitness, and that's why she's sitting in 2nd overall. The only real potential possibility of giving Jessie Diggins any kind of trouble tomorrow on Alpe Charmise, especially if she does really well here today, which Ilar looks set to do.
Ilar looks good, but Diggins qualified in 12th, so not a bad showing in Classic. And I think if there's a course that's going to favor her at this point, the longer and the harder, the better.
Jessie Diggins will go in the 4th quarterfinal. This is the 2nd of 5. And Julia Kern is a little off the pace now of the top 3 of this heat for the United States as Moa Ilar leads Yasmin Kehara and Nicole Monsorno of Italy. Ilar ranked 10th in the sprint standings this year. Kehara ranked 21st. Monsorno ranked 28th. So all these athletes capable of good sprint performances. And Ilar is just running a great run of fitness, but has to watch the creep up speed of Monsorno.
Well, and Kahara just put in one more double pole push and almost looked like she was edging up on Ilar a little bit off of that tunnel. So I think that's going to be a crucial point of just getting the timing right on those last final pushes.
So Kahara will be Ilar.
And that heat just a second or so slower than heat number 1. So as we're through 2 heats here, getting to see this new course in action. Looks like with the extra length of the course, the athletes are being a little bit more monitored in their efforts, saving it up to have enough energy up that final climb. And that's where the distance was made in this second heat. Ilar skiing a very good tactical race there, just using her fitness to break it down to a 3-woman race and clearly move on to the semifinals.
Nice throw of the foot there for the Swede as well, which made the difference, but wasn't terribly critical. They had quite a bit of gap on third, so the lucky loser will remain Moa Lundgren and Anja Weber from heat number 1. Monsorno and Kern at 3:51 and 3:55 respectively, well off those times of heat number 1. So lucky losers still coming from heat number 1. If we go to heat number 3, this is Monica Skinder, 42nd ranked in the sprint standings this year, her 54th World Cup start. Iris de Martin Pinter, a name we keep seeing pop up into these qualifying, and she was 9th qualifier today, the 21-year-old from Italy. We're going to see her pop into the finals and semifinals at some point here, but she keeps threatening with these great qualifying times. Frida Karlsson, 26 years of age now. She came on as a teenage phenom 5-6 years ago and has established herself as one of the best athletes in the field, but she has yet to have a sprint point yet this year, as has this lady. Bib 27, Heidi Weng. Neither Weng nor Carlson have a single World Cup point in sprinting, but that is why the Tour de Ski has a sprint late in the Tour, just to give these opportunities to the distance skiers to show their sprinting ability. On course now, heat number 3.
Fenrich was really strong in this sprint last year. Took the win off of a good move on the final uphill and into the downhill. So we'll see if she can repeat that form. She's had a decent tour so far.
Yeah, she's currently sitting 5th in the overall standings. And 155 back, so still threatening for the podium for sure. Alpes-Charmilles. Weng has had a long history of doing well on Alpes-Charmilles, all the way back to the mid-2010s. 2014, she finished 3rd in this overall event. It's just a pup on the World Cup circuit. And here you see Bib 17 at the back now. That is Vilma Nissinen. Looks like you're struggling, maybe that your ski's not quite as fast as the rest of the group, and that's kind of what Matt Whitcomb was alluding to, is that if you put a little too much grip on the skis, you might not have the speed to hang on these really fast downhills. So that balance between the kick wax and the glide massively, it's hyper important on this Olympic course.
It is, and with the last climb being over 200 meters long, the kick is very important here. So I think if you had to go one way or the other, you'd probably opt with a little bit more kick, but with that downhill finish, that's definitely a liability.
You see the purple bib, that is, or the pink, we'll call the pink bib, the bib of the climber. There are no climbing points today. There are bonus seconds for the overall tour standings for the top 30, 60 all the way down to 1 second for 30th. And for the silver bib, the sprint bib, there are 30 points up for grabs for the top 10. So the winner of the sprint today will also get 10 points toward that silver, or 30 points towards that silver bib. It was 30, 24, 20, 16, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. That's the top 10 at the finish today, and no points given out for that purple bib, or that climber's bib that Frida Karlsson is wearing today. It's just a signifier that she is a good climber.
You can see as we get to the top of the climb here, the pitch just goes up a little bit, and Fendrich able to stay on the track, but Karlsson has to go over wide.
Fendrich has 6 World Cup victories. One of them is here last year in this event. She knows this course well. Even though the course is different, she has done well here in Val di Fiemme, and she's got skiing with a lot of confidence, pulling away now from the Italian Iris de Martin Pinter, number 9. She's number 9. The Italian is the second fastest qualifier of this group. And you're really seeing the gaps being able to be opened up by the athletes who feel strong on this course and are in good shape today.
Well, I think if you are feeling good and knowing how tactical this finish can be, even at the lower speeds, you want to get out front and just give yourself that space, because the real race starts to happen in the semifinals and the finals, and it's just not worth messing around and potentially losing some positions in the draft.
Nadine Fendrich not messing around. She just comes out swinging and pulls a big lead out of the rest of the field. Monica Skinder now trying to move up from bib 14 on the right side into 3rd spot. Lucky loser time is 350.1, 350.3, and 350.2. That'll get, well, that's De Martin Pinter, so 351.2 is not fast enough to get a lucky loser out of here. So Nadine Fendrich steps up to move on to the semifinals, and just as I suggested we might see soon, Iris de Martin Pinter moves on to the semifinals as well.
So far what we're seeing is those who lead with power over the top of that Zorzi climb are putting themselves in a great position to move on. We're not seeing a lot of movement yet from places 3 or 4.
So Iris de Martin Pinter, the Italian, and the personal best of 20th in the sprint in Davos earlier this year. A season best, personal best. Actually, yeah, it is her personal best earlier this season, so both her season best and her personal best is 20th. And she's going to do better than that because she's in the top 12 today. So a new personal best for the young Italian. And she will join Nadine Fendrich in the semifinals. Monica Skinder, Frida Karlsson, Heidi Weng, and Vilma Nissinen all will sit out as they are not able to take down one of the lucky loser times.
And Heidi Weng not having the same form that she had at this point last year when she was kind of the surprise 3rd place winner in this classic sprint.
Now we have a heat that I will call the distance skiers heat for the most part. Except for Jessie Diggins. Jessie's the 8th ranked sprinter in the world right now. She's in this heat for the United States. But Teresa Stadlober, I almost kind of in her interview yesterday was chuckling that she's going to be racing a sprint tomorrow. Maybe she'll qualify. Well, Teresa, you did, and you did it well. You qualified 29th. So Stadlober in there as well. So no Clémence Didier Laurent, the 23-year-old from France, her first appearance in a quarterfinal or a quarterfinal sprint heat. And there is Jessie Diggins, the Tour de Ski leader, wearing that gold bib, trying to take her 3rd Tour de Ski. Next to her is bib 16, Märtha Rosenberg, 23 years of age. She's had some great success at the U23 World Championship. She is the U23 World Champion in the classic sprint in last season. So she is one to watch. And finally, there is Didier Laurent, bib 30, the 23-year-old, who is going to do far better than her personal best of 39th in Les Russes Sprint Freestyle last year. 4th of 5 quarterfinals in this classic sprint on the Olympic venue in Val di Fiemme, Italy. We're going to be here in just over a month's time, calling this exact same race, probably with a different field, but it's still nice to see this venue and this new course and get a feel for and a little bit of the fever of the Olympics.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine they were just a month away at this point, but it's nice to know that this is an established venue. You've got an organizing team that's used to running great races, and pretty amazing turnaround just in a year to reconfigure this course. But I think it's shaping up to be a good Olympic course.
It is a really very difficult course and long, as we said. The gap between the winner, Yasmi Yonsu, of the qualifier and the final spot, was 13.5 seconds between the first qualifier and the final qualifier. So it is a polarizing course, so to speak. Diggins leads. She is just the third qualifier of this group, though she qualified 12th. Matintalo from Finland, the fastest qualifier. Melissa Gall from France was really the big surprise today. Gall, who has finished so far this season, is 28th in the opening freestyle sprint in Toblach in this Tour de Ski. Stadlober, currently
Diggins
third in the
a little
overall
wide there
sprint.
at the beginning. There is some decent speed as they come down into that 180-degree turn.
Yeah, it's still a challenge to get around this turn, but they're going opposite direction of what they've done here in the past. Matintalo now flexing her muscle. Diggins going to try to stay with her and maybe ride Matintalo's tails into that downhill and sneak into the semifinals. She would really love to get the time bonus and ensure that she has time on Moa Ilar. Ilar is through the second place in the Tour de Ski standings, and Ilar is trailing Diggins by 1:36. Third place in this tour is in this heat with Jessie Diggins. She's at the back of the group. That is Teresa Stadlober, who has done well up Chermis, but not historically any better than Diggins has. So even though she may be a threat, Diggins is putting Stadlober in her rearview mirror in this sprint competition, which is a strong thing for her to be doing right now. That's one check mark she can take from this quarterfinal heat, is to make sure that Stadlober is in her rearview mirror.
Yeah, it's got to be satisfying when you can literally like keep eyes on your competition and see if they're behind you.
You see Stadlober way in the back on the left of your screen. She's not going to advance, and it's no real big surprise. So at the front, it's Diggins in second, following Matintalo of Finland, and Diggins rides right up on Matintalo's skis. And that shows you just how, we haven't seen the draft really work yet on that downhill, but you saw a little bit of it there as Diggins rode up on Matintalo, and we're going to see a little bit of it again here. That speed is real, that draft is real, but Diggins not going to move past Matintalo. Matintalo will take the heat. Diggins will move on to the semis, and so far so good for Jessie Diggins. Job completed.
Yeah, and I think she can have a real sigh of relief here, because just making it into the semifinals now guarantees that she's going to get a solid time bonus on the day. So even if she doesn't move on from here, she's got a really good cushion going into the final day tomorrow. But I think that's not going to be quite enough. She's going to want to finish the day with everything she has, and so she continues to ski strong like this. I think she could have a place in the final.
Jessie Diggins will move on in quarterfinal heat number 4. Waiting for the time to come up on the time check on my split sheet. She comes in 349.39. Would have qualified as a lucky loser had she even been third there, but still the same two people hanging on to the lucky loser spot from the first heat are Moa Lundgren and Anja Weber. Diggins and Matintalo through to the semis from heat 4. Fenric and Dimartin Pinter from heat 3 are moving through. Ilar and Kahara from Finland and Sweden respectively are through. And Yasmi Yonsu and Maja Dahlqvist. On to the 5th and final heat of the women's quarterfinals. This is bib number 8. Julie Bjervig Drivnes, who's had a great season. Bib number 4, there's the #1 ranked sprinter in the world, Johanna Hagström. Normally she would be wearing a red bib if this was not the Tour de Ski, but she is the top sprinter at this moment. She qualified 4th today. There you saw Italian Federica Casol, bib 15. Bib 20, Ebba Andersson, another athlete with no sprint points so far this year. Sophie Kreil, number 24 for Germany, currently ranked 41st in the sprint standings. And Julie Pirel, of France, ranked 78th in the sprint competition standings. She has a season best of 48th in Davos in the sprint freestyle. That's your final heat. Keegan, what are you seeing off the starts of these heats? It doesn't seem like anybody really wants to go too aggressively right out of the stadium. It's been pretty controlled looking.
I think the athletes are on notice that because this is a longer course, there's really nothing to be gained from shooting out of the start like a bullet. You know, there's a little bit of jockeying for position, but you've got just such a long straightaway that there's plenty of time to move up. You've got 4 tracks around the course in most places, so I think it's more important to conserve energy early on in this race because more is happening on those final climbs.
So in the overall tour standings outlook of this sprint competition, Moa Ilar is through to the semifinals. She's in second place, 136 back of Diggins in totality. Diggins is through to the semifinals, but Stadlober in third has not moved on. Yasmin Yonsu is currently in fourth place. Who, you know, we don't know what we'll see from Yonsu on the tour on the final day up to climb tomorrow. But she is challenging for a podium finish in the Tour de Ski, which is very real for her. She's not likely to catch Diggins. But at 155 back and heading into the Tour de Ski's final stage, Yasmin Yonsu has to be looking very seriously at trying to get on the podium. She's chasing Stadlober by basically about 15 seconds back. So every time bonus that she can get over Stadlober might put her closer to that top 3.
Yeah, and I think she's visually going to know exactly where she stands because, of course, they'll start mass start format tomorrow. And if it's only a gap of 15 seconds or so by the end of this, she's going to have to keep her in sight.
Well, I think the other thing is that Yonsu is now into, like Diggins is now into the time bonus as well. There's a pretty good chance at about a 15-second gap between the two that Yonsu moves ahead of Stadlober in the standings today with those time bonuses. Let's see where she ends up on the end of the day. The time bonus for top 12 is 22 seconds. So that's the worst case scenario for a time bonus for Yasmin Yonsu. So she should move actually ahead of Stadlober today. Meanwhile, in heat number 5, as we are eyeing up the Tour de Ski overall standings, you've got Johanna Hagström in bib 4, the #1 sprinter in the world right now, going up against Julie Bjervig-Drivnes, and she is having a season. In her 13th World Cup start, she is currently sitting in the 9th spot in the overall Tour de Ski. And I think if you had told Julie Drivnes before the season that she'd be fighting for a top 10 at the end of the Tour de Ski, she probably wouldn't have believed you.
No, but she's one of those Norwegians that's on heightened awareness here, trying to put in those final good performances and make a case for the Olympic team.
And she has done just that in this Tour de Ski. Drivnes she was 9th in the opening sprint competition, the freestyle sprint, or 21st, excuse me, 11th in the 15-kilometer classic, 29th. The 5-kilometer heat race was her worst, but she finished 9th in the 20-kilometer classic, and that is a good moment for her to try to perhaps grab the distance classic spot on the Norwegian team for the 50K Classic at the Olympic Games. Drivnes is also doing very well in this sprint, I should say. So she's proving she's doing it all.
Yeah, so just watching the dynamic there between the top 2 athletes, Drivnes did come up on Hagström there, but wasn't really able to create like the actual slingshot move.
And why do you think that is? Is the speed just not what it... Have they succeeded at dissipating the speed in the stadium there?
I think they have. I think you have to now work up and over that tunnel, and so it's going to be about getting your timing right, about exactly when you stand up and you kind of open up like a parachute when you do that, and so you want to get the timing of that just right, and then getting enough pushes down into that finish stretch. But I think it's who can generate power and speed on that finish stretch now is going to matter more so than the momentum you're carrying, which was the story last year.
8 of 12 that move on to the semifinals from the quarterfinals finished in the top 2 of their, or qualified in the top 2 of their quarterfinals. So things very much going to script. If you had a good qualifier, your chances of moving on are pretty good. And if you were deeper in the qualifying times, it was obvious in the semifinals. So very much the cream of the crop from qualifying has moved on to the semifinals. The major difference is Maya Dahlqvist, who qualified 24th, has moved on from heat number 1. There are your quarterfinalists for the Women's Sprint Classic from Val di Fiemme, the Olympic course. And you can see the venue dressed up for the Olympic Games. It's going to be a spectacular show in just over 35 days from now. The Olympics get underway. Now on to the men's quarterfinals. Bib 3, the second fastest qualifier on the day, Jules Chapaz of France. There is the fastest qualifier, no surprise there. Klæbo qualified with a comfortable lead over Simona Moccellini by 2.04 seconds. Klæbo had a gap on the rest of the field. In this group is Maciej Starega from Poland, Ansgar Evensen from Norway. We just saw Jan Stolben of Germany, who qualified 12th, a very solid qualifying for him. And there's Maciej Starega, the sprinting veteran of the Polish team, back into the quarterfinals. Heat number 1 of 5 in the men's sprint classic. 4 Americans in these heats, 1 Canadian. Anton Suyer will be in the 4th heat for Canada. The United States will feature J.C. Schoonmaker and Gus Schumacher in the 2nd heat. Zach Ketterson will be in the 3rd heat. And Ben Ogden will be in the 4th quarterfinal. But Klæbo really dominant in that qualifying, 2 seconds shy, or 2 seconds clear of everybody.
He really is just in was in a class of his own last year and just continues to kind of build on that form. That performance in the 20K Classic, skiing on his own out in front of everybody, was just really showed that he is on point and but not losing any speed coming into this sprint.
And what really helps him possibly today is that he saw that he could win by 2 seconds in the qualifier, that he can kind of just coast for a good portion of these. Oh, there's somebody down. I'm not sure who that was. Trying to get a look at. I think it may be. It was the. I think it might have been. It's not Evensen. 2 Norwegians are still on their feet. It may have been Stolben. No, Stolben's there. He's bib 12. Process of elimination. I think maybe possibly Yuri Tuts. Yuri Tuts of the Czech team. So that's a shame for Tuts, who's been having a great season. Currently ranked 17th in the sprint standings, but he will be eliminated today with that fall. 5 men at the front of the field, all following Klæbo. Klæbo distinctly with a little bit of a gap on the field already into the 2nd climb.
Yeah, although this is his opportunity, as much as he wants to just, win today and get to this Tour de Ski, it's also an opportunity to try different things on this course. It's not often you get to do a dress rehearsal like this on an Olympic course.
And he is a master of doing that. We see time and time again the innovative ways, if you watch closely and you go back and you study what Klæbo has done, the lines he's taken, and you back things up. We don't often notice it in real time, but he makes amazing decisions on new courses. He figures them out faster than anybody else, and that might just be where those 2 seconds came from in the qualifying as well.
Very, very true, very true. So now he's letting Chapaz take the lead out here on this hill. So I think this is going to be telling as to how this new downhill plays out.
Klæbo taking the 2nd spot is probably a good lesson for all of us to watch here and see how this course plays out, because he is going to be the guy who reveals how to win here, and we're seeing it. He just saw Klæbo reveal to the world of how to win on this course.
Oh, and Chapaz there, just the way he came up and looked back, that was a momentum killer. He might be regretting that here, and then lets himself get stuck behind Klæbo.
Yeah, Evanson took the right track and basically boxed out Chapaz. May get through as a lucky loser now as he's in a photo finish with Chapaz, but Evanson clearly got to the line first, despite we see that photo finish. Chapaz, great eye kick, and you can see that a little bit of a mistake made by the Frenchman.
Well, and I think that it's going to be, they're just very subtle microseconds coming off of up and over that bridge where you stand up at the wrong time, you start pulling at the wrong time or the right time. That can make all the difference in the world because it's so much momentum coming into that last 100 meters.
Babo, a master of precision. And there's the fall of Yuri Toots we talked about. But, a master of precision. The only time I've ever seen him even come close to falling was a few weeks ago in Davos. He almost fell and didn't move on to the quarterfinals. But normally just right on point with everything finding every nuance to the keys to victory.
Oh, and it's hard to tell from that slow-mo if Ansgar or Evanson had the best lunge there, but was it in time? And it looks like it was, just by 0.04 of a second.
So very tight, and that might bode well for Chapaz at least. As he's 319.792, and then nearly a full second back is Jan Stolben of the German team. Going on now to heat number 2. This is Luca Chanava. Qualified 19th. He has one win this year in the freestyle sprint in Davos. There's JC Schoonmaker emerging to the quarterfinals where he's used to doing so. He's a great classic sprinter. Elia Barp, 23 years of age. Finished 16th here last year in this event. And Gus Schumacher, the second of the two Americans in this heat, qualified 14th. And Lars Hagen, wearing the silver bib of the sprint leaders. He's 20 years of age, and he is on fire. And Richard Jouve, on the opposite end of the spectrum of his career from Hagen, qualifying 28. He just hasn't had the form that we've seen of the past of Jouve so far this season.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, Hagen looked a little eager there.
So, Keegan, what is the situation? If Hagen is offside, he'll just get a yellow card, correct?
Yeah, it's the first DQ, or the first false start is kind of charged to the field, I think. But then if there's another one, then he could be out.
Well, he doesn't have a yellow card. The only people in this heat, in this top 30 in the quarters that have yellow cards carrying him into this event, David Garatz in the 5th heat, as well as Joni Mack in the 5th heat. So if they had a yellow card, if they get a yellow card, they will be eliminated. But Hagen will probably just receive the yellow card, and that will follow him through the entire season. If he gets another one, he'll be disqualified from that moment.
And they had to institute that rule I guess it was more than a few years ago now, because there were athletes purposely false starting just to unsettle their competitors, but it really slows down the race. And so in order to shut that down, they had to tighten the rules on false starts.
So Hagen with the false start in heat number 2. Trying to join Klæbo and Ansgar Evanson in the semifinals. Clean start on the second try now. Heat number 2. Barp is in the Azzurri blue of the Italian team right in the center of the screen. 2 Americans in the navy blue stars and stripes suit. Gus Schumacher and JC Schoonmaker. Jouve in the navy blue suit for France at the back. Find it hard to differentiate between the French suits and the American suits often when they're in the same heats. Jouve, a very distinct body type, though. You can tell when it's Jouve. He's a massively powerful double polar.
Yeah, well, I'm not so sure that will come in handy on this type of course. So much climbing.
It's a lot of striding, and you really need to make the kickbacks the best it can be, both 3 on the glide phase and very, very effective on the kick. 2 Frenchmen in this heat as well. There's 2 Americans, 2 Frenchmen, so you got to try to differentiate those navy blue suits. But Lucas Chanavat took the win in Davos when Klæbo did falter. He got the distinct honor of winning when Klæbo was in the heat in the field in a freestyle World Cup. Down the center, the man in silver bib, Lars Heggen, has been a revelation this season, especially in this Tour de Ski. But he is being challenged by the American J.C. Schoonmaker, who seems to have found some fitness that he's not exhibited yet this year.
Yeah, and he had, he took the wide line there so he could move up to the field and made a nice pass across the front.
So J.C. Schoonmaker has not made any ripples on the World Cup scene this season, but now on this Olympic course, he emerges into the second big climb with a little bit of a lead on a very, very packed and talented group in this semifinal or this quarterfinal heat. You've got Lucas Chanavat, arguably one of the best sprinters ever to do the event. Lars Heggen, an emerging star in the sport, and J.C. Schoonmaker looks able to match anything anyone in this heat can throw at him so far. Barp sitting on his heels now, or bib 9.
The hill reminds me a little bit of that final climb in Ruka, just the long drawn out with the pitch right at the top, but now with everyone all together, they're going to be tactical going into this last downhill. So
nobody here really wants to take the lead into the finishing stretch, and that is going to probably make it tough to make it on as a lucky loser. So the strategy has been made, and the youngster Heggen decides to go ahead and take the lead into the downhill. I believe that is Schoonmaker still in second.
that was a good turn of speed by Heggen. You know, he knew that he had to make an aggressive move at that point, and it's holding for now, but they're coming in.
And look who's leading the pack in. Richard Jouve, bib 28. Elia Barp now emerges to the front. 2 Americans trying to get in as lucky losers, but they are completely pinched. It's going to be Elia Barp at the line. Heggen second, Jouve third, Schumacher fourth, Schoonmaker fifth, and Lucas Chanavat in sixth. Chanavat at the back of the group. Really not is going to be the Italian Elia Barp, who was the fastest qualifier in this group, who moves on.
That was
joining him. Looks. Go ahead.
That was a good treat for us to see what a tactical race looks like. And Heggen, even with that very aggressive push over the top and the lead going into the downhill, was ellipsed onto that final 100 meters.
Yeah, it's a tough place to be. I think that everybody recognized. I think J.C. Schoonmaker maybe recognized that he didn't want to be where he had allowed himself and skied himself into in that position, but then got kind of boxed in and had nowhere to really go at that point.
So I'm sure they're going to be going back and re-watching the footage of that race over and over for the next month to tactically figure out a different strategy.
It was a massively slower race than the first heat. In fact, almost 5 seconds slower. 3:26.54 the winner of that heat. 3:19.6 the time of Klæbo. So over 5 seconds slower, and there will not be a lucky loser from that heat. So Chapaz and Stillben remain the lucky loser spot. Bib 28 or bib 11, 28 years of age, Zach Ketterson, having the best qualifier of his, I believe that's his best qualifier of his career, in 11th. Niilo Moilanen, the junior world champion from Finland, wearing bib number 4, the fastest qualifier of this group. Teo Shelley hasn't been seen on the World Cup until this Tour de Ski, and now he's in the 6th qualifying spot today. And Oliver Mühlbach took the bronze medal in Trondheim in this discipline earlier in December. And Mathias Stenshagen, an absolute revelation this season, has pretty much secured his spot on the Norwegian Olympic team. And bib 25, the local star, Federico Pellegrino. Keegan, what do you think about his 25th qualifying spot?
Well, he's been having a fantastic tour so far, but I'm sure some of those distance races have taken a little bit out of him. So doesn't matter. All you got to do is get into the top 30, because if there's someone who has experience to race this course, it'll be Pellegrino.
On course.
Oh, and it looks like Milbach broke a pole out of the start.
Has not enjoyed this Tour de Ski. He's spoken several times about how he feels like his fitness is in a place where he doesn't know what to do next. He came off a great period 1 and now has struggled pretty much throughout this Tour de Ski, only to get to this classic sprint where he was hoping to make some hay for the Olympic Games, and he comes out with a broken pole and just kind of goes to from bad to worse for him.
I think it's hard when you're young and you come on with just such a breakout, like first big weekend on World Cup. You just feel like you want to be there all the time. But I think the World Cup is a journey, and you got to put your time in, and there'll be ebbs and flows. And I think he's getting to experience a little bit of that ups and downs right now.
Got Theo Shelley in here with a season best of 13th place. Zach Ketterson's personal best held in the 10-kilometer classic in 9th place in Ruka earlier this year. And had some illness and has been fighting that off, but finding his fitness. He has had some bad luck in this Tour de Ski with a fall in the 10K classic, which was running in the top 20, and then had a fall that cost him. Ketterson trying to get his Tour de Ski back into a place where he's excited about it. He's currently sitting in amongst the leaders in this classic sprint in Val di Fiemme on this Olympic course.
And Milbach is not far off the back there.
It does look like they're a little bit sandbagging on the pace, doesn't it?
It does, yep.
So Moylan at the front, but not really forcing anything. Nobody really going to the front and doing much of racing to this point of this heat number 3.
But now they fan out into all 4 tracks going up the Azorzi climb here.
4 athletes right at the front of the field. It's going to be Moylan on the inside. Stenshagen, the lone Norwegian in this heat. Pellegrino now starting to force his way up to the front, and Milbach is right there. Now as the pace quickens, he has trouble hanging with it, but Theo Shelley coming off the back of the pace, set at the front by Zach Ketterson and Nilo Moilanen. The climber, Matti Stenshagen, right there with him, as is Pellegrino. Ketterson leads into this downhill.
So no cat and mouse in this heat. Just going for it.
Ketterson got up and double pulled from the front, trying to up his speed a little bit into this downhill. We'll see if that tactic works. He's got Moilanen in his slipstream, as well as Stenshagen, and Pellegrino also inching up on the leaders.
Look at that glide from Pellegrino.
Look at that glide out from Pellegrino. Knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah,
and now bib number 6 strike coming up too. Shelley. Stenshagen, though, with the power in the finish to take on the lead group, and he is going to take the win of the heat. The distance skier, Stenshagen, nipping Pellegrino at the line. Moylan in 3rd, Shelley 4th, Ketterson 5th. So Keegan, the effort isn't necessarily the winner here today. Putting the effort in and working the hardest may actually be the worst strategy.
Today is just such a tactical puzzle to solve. I mean, you've got to have the fitness, you've got to have the skis, but you've got to get your timing just right. And of course, you're racing against 5 other racers who you don't know exactly what they're going to do. So it's going to be the athletes who can really just make decisions in the moment, put themselves in the right decision, and put the turn of speed on right when they need it. And Pellegrino came on with an amazing last 10 meters or so to get himself in solid qualifying position.
And that bodes well for the Italian. He proves that even though it's a new course, he kind of knew what to do here.
Yeah, when you race that many World Cups and you're in the hunt for the win, I think that experience really comes in handy. And Moilanen looked like he lunged from about 2 meters out. So Pellegrino timed that really well.
On to heat number 4 now. Here's a great little coup for the Swiss team. Roman Alder, 21 years of age. He was 18th in this freestyle sprint last year, his World Cup best. in Engadine. So if he moves on, it will be a World Cup best for Alder today. He's best this season, though, is 22nd in Davos in a freestyle sprint. Here's Harald Usper Amundsen, currently sitting 9th in the overall Tour de Ski standings, excuse me. And Ben Ogden, pride of Vermont, 25 years of age, qualifying 8th today in this classic sprint, trying to get an American through to the semifinals. 3 have tried and none have succeeded or stuck. And Anton Cyr of Canada of the North American contingent. So Ben Ogden and Cyr representing North America in this 4th of 5 heats. Simona Mocellini, second fastest qualifier. Mocellini has several World Cup podiums, and they're all in the classic technique sprint. He's in the Azzurri blue on the right.
We also heard in the pre-race interview that he lives about an hour from the course here in Val di Fiemme and has just about his whole village out here to cheer for him. So I'm sure a ball of nerves for him, because he's got some results in the past to be confident from, but to be racing here in front of all the friends and family, and then to know that you're testing yourself on the Olympic course for home Olympics has to come with a lot of pressure.
Mocellini's on the right there, bib number 2. He's 27 years of age. Bib 7 there is Amundsen.
And Amundsen, while he's sitting in 9th overall in the Tour de Ski, remember the men from about third place through 9th place are packed within 3 seconds. So it sounds like he's farther down, but he's someone who can have a strong climb on the last day. So he's just got to hang in there today and try to fight for those bonus seconds.
He's only a minute 3 out in 9th place. And to put that into perspective, coming into today, Gus Schumacher is in 3rd place, 1 minute out. So he's 6 places ahead, only 3 seconds overall. So it is anybody's race for at least the second rung on the podium. And certainly if Klæbo struggles at all on the up Chemise, he's only got a minute lead. And if somebody lights it up and Klæbo has a bad day, somebody's there to scoop it. There's 9 guys ready to scoop that Tour de Ski victory from Klæbo if he falters.
Yeah, I think you can't rule anything out. You got to be ready. But the athletes who've taken this tour one day at a time, I think have set themselves up best, because if you think too far ahead, it can psych you out.
Cyr struggling a little bit with the pace, as is Johan Ekberg in bib 23 for Sweden. Alder just hanging contact. Ben Ogden right in with the leaders, Mocellini and Amundsen, matching them stride for stride, doing the Benny shuffle up the climb. Ogden famous for his uphill technique style. And Cyr now back, double pulls himself right back into contention as they move into this all-important setup for the downhill. Keegan, this is going to be the Olympic move here. We're going to be seeing it next month, day in and day out. Mocellini, is this the right move by Mocellini?
Mocellini thinks it's him, but I don't know. It's a risky strategy.
We've not seen a lot of success from the front of that, at the top of that downhill so far today.
No, and the Norwegians have had fantastic skis. So I think Amundsen puts himself in a really good position here, but he's having to come out of the draft early.
Well, maybe his confidence in the skis just moved him out of the track, and he felt like he had to make the space. Meanwhile, Antoine Cyr finds the draft and gets in a great position to challenge for second, but is now behind the Norwegian and the Italian. He's going to have to get past Mocellini. Cyr trying to move on, and it's going to be a victory for Amundsen. Mocellini second, and Antoine Cyr will be third, but the time still too slow for a lucky loser for Cyr or Ogden, as Chapaz and Stobin from heat number 1 remain the lucky losers at 319.792 and 320.752. Amundsen, psych, punches the air, and Mocellini threw his foot a little too early and almost got taken by the Canadian Cyr.
Yes, I think if Cyr had been able to make that lane change in the finish just a tad sooner, he would have been able to build a little bit more momentum.
We have not seen anybody win off the front into the downhill, but Mocellini just went second. So
yes,
it is possible.
Better. Yep.
I mean, a lot of it probably having to do with the skis, don't you think?
skis are definitely going to matter here. And that's again why the teams are psyched to be on this Olympic venue a month out from the Olympics. And I know a lot of teams have already set up camp here even back into December to just study the snow, because now that fluorocarbons are out, and of course it's been a few seasons of this, it just makes the structure and the grinds on the skis that much more important, and continuing to study and learn the waxes that are going to work here.
So 4 quarterfinal heats in the books on this Olympic venue, on this Olympic course, a month before the Olympics, roughly 35 days to the start of the Olympic Games. The Classic Sprint will occur on February 10th in Val di Fiemme here. And this is the final heat of the men's quarterfinals. We'll go to semis next for the women. And this is bib 27, Kamil Buri, 111th start of his career. Personal best is 16th back in 2020, so 6 years past his personal best. We saw in there as well Joni Mäki, the speedy Finn, he qualified 5th. Bib 17 is Davide Grazia, the home team in Italy. Bib 16 is Edvin Unger, currently sitting in 5th in the Tour de Ski standings. One of those athletes packed within 3 seconds of each other from 2nd to 9th. Noé Neff, the 22-year-old from Switzerland, into these quarterfinals again. And it's going to be a big improvement. He had his best finish so far this season in 26th in the opening sprint of this Tour de Ski back in Toblach. Anton Grahn from Sweden there as well, the 21-year-old. Quarterfinal number 5 on course.
More and more, I'm seeing that athletes are choosing to use what appears to be skiathlon boots for these classic sprint races and classic races in general, just opting to have a little bit more of ankle support to be able to really work the terrain.
Do you think that the speed of the downhill has a lot to do with that?
It might. Personally, I never found skiathlon boots that comfortable to classic ski in, but if you break in a good pair and having that extra stability might come in handy.
A little bit of ankle support for some of these athletes feeling necessary too.
Well, maybe with all the turns on this course.
That's a good point. 2 Swedes at the front, that is bib 26 on the left. We'll see the last one, Anton Grahn. He is 22nd ranked in the world. He was 7th in the Sprint Classic in Konya last year. Grahn, that's his high water mark. Unger, the only one with any real stake in the overall tour standings, in 5th. Everybody else 35th or further back, and 3+ minutes back. Into the second climb now. It's Edvin Unger at the front. Joni Mäki right to his right, our left. And bib 17, Davide Grazia, the Italian. And it's the Pole, Kamil Buri. Buri hasn't finished better than 85th in any of the tour events so far. So to be in the top 30, a solid day for him. He qualified 27th. Into the final climb now. Again, we're seeing a lot of charges on this climb, and then it all come back together at the top. Is that just a? What do you think of the strategy? I'm kind of watching these surges go in, and people spending their energy to get to the lead, and only to stand up at the top and let everybody they just kind of try to hurt on the uphill right back into the race.
Well, it's amazing when you are racing head-to-head like this, how you can sense the skiers around you, and you're looking for subtle changes in position where if you feel like you're starting to pull away and get an edge, then it makes the effort worth it. But knowing how much goes into this downhill, if you don't feel like you're going to get enough of an advantage, then even if you've expended energy to get to the front, you don't want to risk it and play it more tactical. But I think as the heats have unfolded here, again, everybody's watching each other, learning this course as they go, and kind of deciding what's the right strategy for them.
Mäki decides to go to the front. He gets a little bit of a daylight, and he's certainly got the skis to stay out front. We have not seen that yet, but right away, as soon as he stands up, you see the Swedes creep up on him just a little bit. But Mäki's clearly got some good skis.
He does, and you know the Finns are very good at delivering good classic skis, so that is helping his case here as the Swedes try to make a push. But it's like,
so Gran supplants Unger, and Unger will limit his bonus seconds by not moving on to the semifinals, and Gran will go there instead, mostly just for pride. But the big winner there could have been Edvin Unger, moving on to get more bonus seconds from these semifinals, but he will retire as this is a relatively quick heat. It was 320.6, 320.9. Mackey and Gran who will move on, but that was still slower, just slightly slower than the lucky losers, Chapaz and Stolben from heat number 1, so they will move on as well. So Mackey and Gran are the winners of that heat, and they'll go to the semifinals.
yeah, Unger just didn't quite have an answer to Gran there on that last 100 meters.
So the men's quarterfinals are in the books. Joni Mäki moves Finland through, as then Gran moves Sweden through. Now we go back to, you see the order of the semifinals, and 3 Italians, Keegan, in the heat in the semifinals. That's a good showing for the host nation.
That's going to create some good stoke in the lead up to the Olympics, because again, so many of these skiers are from near this area, so it's going to be great to draw in the enthusiasm, but it's probably also going to put a little extra pressure on their shoulders, as if there weren't enough coming into a home Olympics.
Into the women's semifinals heats now we go on this penultimate day of the 2026 Tour de Ski, the 20th edition. Chad Salmo, Keegan Randall bringing you the action every stage of the tour. There's number 1, Yasmin Yonsu, fastest qualifier on the day. Skiing well in distance as well, sitting in the top 4 in the tour standings. Nadine Fendrick, second fastest qualifier today. She's doing fairly well in the tour as well, 14th overall in the standings. Maja Dahlqvist in the silver sprinters bib, sprint leader. Dahlqvist qualified a relatively ho-hum 24th, but had a great quarterfinal to get herself through to the semifinals. And then the Swiss athlete, Anja Weber, qualified 21st, and she's in the semis with a relatively low qualifying time as well.
So we saw Yonsu go to the front and really just kind of keep the pace fast in that quarterfinal. She's going to continue to try to use that strategy here, knowing that the competition just got a lot tougher.
Finns doing very well to get 3 athletes through to the semifinals. The Swiss doing as well. They have 2 into the semifinals. The Norwegians with 1, with Julie Bjervik Drivnes, who will go in the second semifinal heat. And then that leaves DeMartin Pinter and Diggins for Italy and the United States, respectively, in the semifinals. But this is a 2 Swede, 2 Swiss, 2 Finnish affair in this first of 2 semifinals.
Getting a good showdown already here between Fenrich and Yonsu, both up at the front, both known to kind of push the pace a little bit.
Should note, Fendrick won here last year, and she did not have to contend against the likes of Jona Sundling or Christina Stavo-Skistad. That is the case here again this year, as Sundling did not start the Tour de Ski, and Skistad pulled up this morning, citing illness. But still should give Fendrick a lot of confidence, having won here last year, and she looks good again today. Seems like a good venue for her.
Yeah, she's been skiing strong, and qualifying second is always a really good sign. That just means that at this point in the tour, you still have a lot of energy in the body to be able to produce that kind of effort.
Fendrick leads into the downhill.
Gap.
Yeah, getting a little bit of time. Now the question is, what does she do with it? Does she go, or does she save it for the top of the hill and try to slingshot past somebody into that downhill?
Well, when you know you've got veterans like Maja Dahlqvist and on your heels, you might want to go for it, but I mean, Yeonsu may be looking like she wants to push the pace, but Fenrich doesn't really have an answer here.
So it is the Finn who, once again, she did this in the quarterfinal and it worked for her. Yasmin Yeonsu is going to try to make it work again. She's feeling good fitness. She's got the speed and the power. She's never won a World Cup. She has the Crystal Globe, but her best finish ever is still just second place. So maybe trying to find the mojo for some Olympic inspiration. Yeonsu strikes out alone at the front with a strategy that she tried in the quarterfinals that worked, at least in that setting, but slightly more competitive field in the semis, but she's pulling away.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a gap right now, so this will be really telling to see if any of these gaps can be absorbed in the draft. Might be just enough space in between to stay apart.
Fendrick certainly doesn't have a great draft off of Yeonsu if she wants one. She's got a little bit too much of a lead to see that. But then look at Fendrick glide up on Yeonsu. And then the Swedes chasing, but Fendrick and Yeonsu are clear and away to take the heat.
You can see what that little nod of the head costed. It's not going to cost her the heat here, but any little subtle movement away from the direction of travel you're trying to go just can throw you off.
So in the first of two semifinals, there's Nadine Fendrich, who solves the course again as the first qualifier. Yasmin Yeonsu tried to take it from the front and hung on for second. Meanwhile, it will be the Swedes looking for a lucky loser position. Moa Lundgren and Maya Dahlqvist. Or excuse me, Moa Ilar had the wrong Moa there. Had the right intention, but spoke the wrong name. It's Moa Ilar and Dahlqvist as Yeonsu and Fendrich will move on to the final. On place, Dahlqvist and Ilar waiting to see if their times will hold up against heat number 2. There's Jessie Diggins trying to do what she can to bring home Tour de Ski number 3 to her trophy case.
So it's an interesting position for Diggins to be in right now because she knows in this heat she is up against a couple other stronger sprinters. So she's going to have the best aerobic capacity of everyone here. So does she want to go out front and try to push the pace and break down the sprinters and give herself a clear path to qualify forward, or does she want to sit in there and play it a little bit more tactical, and can she ski away?
She also has to consider that Moa Ilar is in a lucky loser position in the first heat, that the time could matter. She doesn't need to worry too much. She's got a minute 36 on Ilar, so it's not a massive thought, but it's something to consider.
Yeah, that would be another reason to push the pace and try to bring a couple lucky losers through from this heat.
Johanna Hagström comes through to the semifinals as well. It's from the 4th fastest qualifying time. And Julie Bjervik-Drivnes, the revelation of the Norwegians this season. And I think she's skiing her way right onto a possible Olympic team berth for Norway. She's sitting in the top 10 in the overall Tour de Ski standings. Jessie Diggins and Moa Lundgren round out this second semifinal heat from the Olympic venue in Val di Fiemme. Second of 2 semifinals. The women are on course. Diggins out quick, as is Moa Lundgren to her right.
Well, they do need to get out a little bit quicker just to be able to get over in the lanes, because with this, it's a long, drawn-out start stretch, but then it does start to arc towards the left, so you want to be able to get a good position and not have to ski the outside track.
Number 9 for Italy. That is Iris de Martin Pinter. She is trying to make her first ever final. In fact, this is her first ever semifinal in a World Cup. A World Cup personal best was a 20th in the Freestyle Davos sprint last season. Oh, no, this season, actually. She was 25th this season. So Pinter on a upswing. She's at the back of this group, though. Drivnes' personal best happened just 2 days ago when she was 9th in the 20-kilometer classic. If she can get into the finals, that will guarantee her best ever World Cup finish as well. Everybody else in this field pretty experienced. Lundgren, no wins to her, no podiums to her career. She'd like to see herself on the podium here today, and she's currently sitting in the 4th spot behind her teammate Johanna Hagström, who's the #1 ranked sprinter in the world right now, has 2 victories to her credit. She is in the 2nd spot. Johanna Mattintalo chasing them as well. Mattintalo 3 podium finishes to her career. Diggins, the distinct double pulling out front of this field into the 2nd uphill now. Drivnes going way wide, trying to get around Moa Lundgren, but she's the last in this heat, in this group, as Hagström now emerges at the front of the field at the top of this climb. Diggins being supplanted by the pint-sized Swede. Mattintalo now forcing the issue on the inside edge, trying to get around Hagström inside between her and the V-boards. But Hagström emerges in front, and Drivnes from way outside gets a good line to that whole shot into the final turn down the hill, and Diggins suddenly finds herself in 4th behind Mattintalo, Drivnes, and Hagström.
This heat coming into the downhill a lot tighter than the first semifinal.
And we're seeing a lot of different lines to that climb, to the top of that climb. Drivnes had a really interesting climb. She went way wide, and it cost her time at the bottom of the climb, but she was positioned very well for the inside turn into the downhill.
Yeah, it's intriguing how you kind of start the hill on one side and then it goes to the other side over by the top.
So you can see the out of picture, things tightened up very quickly on that downhill. The Italian's still in a tuck, has not double pulled yet, and Diggins getting
Diggins nowhere to go.
Sandwiched. Yeah, she's sandwiched between the Italian, and she just double pulls through. Will Diggins get the line second? No, it's going to be tight between her and the Finn, Mattintalo. Diggins just edged out 351.3 as she got sandwiched in that downhill, nowhere to go. And it's not going to be enough to take down Dahlqvist as a lucky loser. Weber 351.11, Diggins just 0.2 shy of the lucky loser spot to move on.
Yeah, that's what you see. It's just, that's the precarious position. If you end up just back in the pack a little bit, while the draft can be important, you can get boxed out, and that's a tough position to be in.
So moving on from that heat, Johanna Hagström takes the win, and Johanna Mattintalo very narrowly gets the 2nd spot through to the final. And the lucky losers will be, looks like, Anja Weber and Maya Dahlqvist.
And it looks like we've got coming across the board that Moa Ilar has been relegated to last for an obstruction in that first semifinal.
Okay, well that has long implications in the standings, as she will not be a lucky loser, I don't believe. So that moves Dahlqvist or Weber, I believe, into the lucky loser position. So Weber gets the lucky loser spot because of that relegation of Ilar to last of her group.
It looks like 16/100ths of a second was the difference for Jessie Diggins to just miss that lucky loser spot.
So Now on to the men's semifinals. 2 heats. Matti Stenshagen is on tear from Norway. He's having the highest marks of his career by far. He's now made himself a sprinter by reputation in this Tour de Ski as he contests a semifinal. Elia Barp for the Italians, feeling very good about his chances today. Barp won his quarterfinal heat to get to this spot. Jan Stulben of Germany. This is a great opportunity for Stulben. Qualified 12th. Is a World Cup best of second in Oberhof in 2024. Was U23 world champion. U23 world champion in the sprint, classic sprint in 2023. So Stulben has the record, or excuse me, 16th in Konya. That's his best. That was last year. I was looking at the Ansgar Evanson's stats, but Stulben, a high water mark for him today. Any way you slice it, he's going to be in the top 12. He's at the back of the group in bib number 12.
You got the 3 bibs across the front there. Stenshagen in the climber's bib, Klæbo in the leader's bib, and Hagen in the sprint bib.
So the 3 royalty in this first of 2 semifinal heats of this Tour de Ski, the 5th and penultimate stage of this tour. This is obviously an Olympic event. I misstated. I should correct myself. From 2 days ago, I stated that Jack Young had qualified for the United States by his 4th place finish in Davos, which was incorrect because it was not an Olympic event. He would have to do it here today. Any American could have and would have qualified outright for the Olympic team, being 8th today because it is an Olympic distance and discipline. So my apologies for that misstatement 2 days ago. Jack Young still trying to make his spot on that Olympic team for the United States. Meanwhile, in semifinal heat number 1 of the men on this Olympic venue, Klæbo leading and in control. 24-year-old Jan Stulben trying to have his best day of his career. He's going to do it no matter what, but how high can he go? Can he get better than 12th today? His high water mark is 16th. Stulben challenging at the front in the black suit for Germany. He's having a good day and he's going to use it.
It's funny how in these tour events some days you just never know when your form is just going to click. And yeah, Stulben having a great day, and perhaps going to be the lead-out man for Klæbo on this downhill. It's like Klæbo has gone wide every time and just kind of waits for someone to go into the lead.
He tells Jan Stulben, or Jan Stulben tells him, I'll be your Huckleberry. He goes into the lead, and Klæbo's going to follow him. But Stulben knows what he has to do, at least. He's pushing hard enough to have a fighting chance in this downhill to lead off the downhill and still get to the line in the top 2. Still no guarantees, but he clearly knew what he had to do there, and Klæbo was all too happy to follow him. So Stulben, with his personal best on the line, leads into this downhill. Klæbo eats that lead right up in the tuck.
Doesn't glide up on him quite as much as he did his Chappaz in that quarterfinal, though.
Stulben now in position to do what he meant to do in that downhill. And it looks like it's going to work at this point, as the Evanson and Stenshagen try to chase, but it'll be Klæbo and Stulben into the final. Evanson 3rd with a lucky loser time of 3:19.1. He'll be the time to beat. Then it's a photo finish between Stenshagen and Hagen to see who moves on to the final in a lucky loser position, or potentially in a lucky loser position. But Klæbo through comfortably, and Jan Stulben having the best day of his career by a stretch now as he moves into the final.
Yeah, and I think what was really exciting there, kind of a race within the race, was the mix of the 3 Norwegians fighting for 3rd place there, because it's a tight race between all 3 of those guys for one of those Norwegian spots, and particularly between Evanson and Hagen for that potential sprint spot in the Olympics, and they are separated by a photo finish, and it looks like Evanson just gets Hagen by a bit there.
If that is the difference between an Olympic berth and a non-Olympic berth, if they do not move on as lucky losers and race it out in the final, that difference there might be the deciding factor in the end.
And Evanson really needed that because, of course, Hagen had the edge from the sprint earlier in this tour and has actually had a pretty good tour overall, proving he's got fantastic fitness right now.
Yeah, that's the conundrum for Ansgar Evanson. His Tour de Ski hasn't been spectacular. This is a good day. This is the Olympic event. This is what they're going to probably take him to do at the Olympics. But at the same time, if someone pulls up sick and Lars Hagen has to jump into, for example, a relay leg, I'd put my eggs into Hagen's basket on that one, I think, and he's maybe a little more versatile right now than Ansgar Evanson is proving to be.
Yeah, he certainly has the heads up right now, but of course, you know, tough decision because young guy finding really good form right now. We got a month to go, and a lot can happen.
Evanson a little more experienced and a little older, still relatively young. Evanson 25 years of age, 5 years older than Hagen. No real guideline that I can read in the Norwegian. I've read the Norwegian Olympic criteria. It's actually quite simple. There's not a lot of legalese in there. A lot of leeway for the coaching staff to consider the things we're talking about with no real written backing of those ideas. There's Joni Mäki, bib number 5 in heat number 2 of 2 semifinals. Harald Østberg Amundsen qualified 7th today, the second fastest qualifier to Mäki in this heat. Or third fastest is Mocciolini and Federico Pellegrino qualified 25th and 2nd for the Italians. But in the opposite order you'd expect, it was Pellegrino near the bottom in 25th and Mocciolini in 2nd. And Anton Grahn in a very new place for him. Grahn qualified 26th today. And Jules Chapaz of France in bib number 3. He's been here, he's done that. He's got world championship hardware in this discipline. It's the man, Anton Grahn, with a World Cup best of 7th, never having been to the final, trying to set a new World Cup best for him today. He's just 21 years of age is Grahn. And trying to make his way into his first ever World Cup final in the sprint.
So it feels already that this group is going to be a little bit more tactical in their pacing, kind of jockeying for position, which means lucky losers could be coming from that first semifinal.
Evanson and Hagen say, take your time, boys. We want to race this out for an Olympic berth in the final, and maybe even a podium or a win. Bob would let that happen. At the front, it's not a very torrid pace. You can see Chapaz leading the big 3 in the navy blue for France. And the Azuri blue is Elia Barp, who's really risen to the occasion, or excuse me, Simona Mocciolini, really risen to the occasion. The local boy here says, as Keegan pointed out, and he said in the opening statements that he's got a whole group of people watching him here today, and that's inspiring. So Mocciolini, who's been on the podium twice before in his career, trying to make the most of this day in Val di Fiemme to create some great mojo going into the Olympic Games.
Yeah, but Amundsen coming up the outside, just try and get up to the front because he knows he needs to be in a good position. His best chance here is to push the pace on this next climb.
Amundsen, a sprinter, not by reputation. He's a good all-around skier. He's very good at distance, but he's proven that when he's on fitness, he's got the anaerobic power to light up a sprint competition. He leads Jules Chapaz now into the second climb of this course. Pace quickening, Mocciolini has the answer, as does Chapaz, and Pellegrino seems to have it as well. Now Grahn with a much slower tempo, but a big, more powerful stride on the outside. He'll turn to the inside as he gets to the top of this climb.
Chapaz putting on a turn of speed here, trying to pull away and get a gap over the top.
Chapaz is going to try to do it exactly what the German did, Jan Stulben, and ensure his spot into the final. and then a scramble to chase him. And it's Grahn the first to answer. Pellegrino, the lurking, right behind him. And Mocellini in fourth. Amundsen now at the back, and Joni Mäki just a spectator at the back. But it's tight, Keegan. They're very close.
It is, and I think this is where it's going to be impeccable to get the timing just right coming out of the draft here.
Grahn steps maybe a tad too soon, and Pellegrino nowhere to go. Grahn actually gives him the space.
But he loses some key momentum there.
Perhaps a rookie mistake by Grahn, but he's still holding on second. Chapaz and Grahn and Joni Mäki, who was just recently, I said, was a spectator, now into the fight for the second spot, but he fades late. It's going to be Chapaz and Grahn who move on. Mäki's out, Amundsen is out, Pellegrino's out. And they're too slow for the lucky loser. 319.17 and 319.31 of the Norwegians Evensen and Hagen will get through to the finals. It is Chapaz and Grahn in a surprising semifinal outcome.
So surprising to see Pellegrino just get his timing off there and just have nowhere to go off that draft.
So Anton Grahn, like Jan Stulben, creates a moment for himself on this Olympic course and gets to the final. Stulben and Grahn, two new names to the final, will go up against several big names and well-known names, including Klæbo and Ansgar Evensen and Lars Hagen.
I thought we might get a replay of them coming up and over the bridge to see where that decisive move was made. So I think the way these heats are unfolding, it's going to give the athletes a lot of homework to do to review this video and kind of think of strategies. And when you're an athlete and you're doing all the visualization leading into a big championships like the Olympics, I feel like this just throws a whole nother level into the mix when you're just gonna have to imagine so many different scenarios that could play out.
So this final ends up being 4 athletes from the first quarterfinal heat. Klæbo, Chapaz, Stulben, Ansgar Evensen, all in that group. And then Anton Grahn and Lars Hagen move on as well. Hagen qualified 21st and started in the second quarterfinal heat, and Grahn comes from the final quarterfinal. And now we'll go to the women's final for all the marbles on this Olympic preview of the 1.5 kilometer classic sprint. And it is an interesting course to say the least. The speed that we saw last year is not quite as dramatic as we experienced, but it's still a big factor in this finish.
Yeah, there's the different tactics though have been winning the heater or making advance on, but of course today, now that we've reached the final, the only thing that matters is how you cross that finish line. No more just waiting to skate by. This is going to be important to see if athletes are feeling strength by this 4th round of the day. Is it worth trying to make a blast up that final hill like Chapaz did in that second semifinal? Because if you can make enough, there's a possibility to lead from the front.
Finnish fans yelling for the 2 Finns in this final. Jasmine Jonsson, bid number 1, has yet to win a World Cup event. Despite holding a crystal globe at home, she spoke earlier this year that she likes the fact she's not at all discouraged by the fact that she hasn't won a race, that she felt like she covered all the bases last year to win that crystal globe. And that is one of the things about a crystal globe, is that it's not about a championship or a single flash in the pan, that you come in day out and you make it happen. It's a cumulative point distribution, and she's very proud of her crystal globe despite having no victories.
Well, because you look at Nadine Fenrich, who does have World Cup victories to her name, but, you know, had that agonizing loss to Maya Dahlqvist a couple seasons ago in that sprint club. Came down to the last race, just a couple of points, but just missed out on that. So, yeah, when the career's done and over, it's there'll be some settling to go. You know, it's hard to have it all, unless you're Johannes Klebo, of course.
Evenly distributed start order from 3 nations. 2 Swiss athletes, Fendrich and Weber. 2 Swedes, Hagström and Dahlqvist. And 2 Finns, Jonsson and Mattintalo. Not a single Norwegian in this final. And that is probably going to be much to the chagrin of an ailing Kristina Stavosista, who has been the focal point of this sprint day and then pulled up ill today and does not start.
Yeah, and it's too bad. It would have been really interesting to see how she would have done with this being a slightly longer course. That might test her physiology a little bit, but she's such a good glider that finish stretch should still favor her strengths. So I think it's going to be, and of course we don't have Jonas Sundling here either, so it's going to leave all the intrigue for the Olympics.
Jasmine Jonsu, Anja Weber, Maya Dahlqvist, there's Johanna Mattintalo. Mattintalo's best World Cup finish. She's been 3rd, and she's been 2nd in Team Kilometer Classic in Falun last season. There is Nadine Fendrich, a longtime favorite in this sport. And Jasmine Jonsu, can she take home her first victory here at this Olympic course? What confidence would that bring her going into the Olympic Games? And Maya Dahlqvist, can she solve this downhill finish? Can any of them? This is Anja Weber. She is just psyched to be there and trying to get her best finish. She's been 5th. And she finished 5th in the toe block sprint last year as a World Cup best. They're off. The women's final to make waves in the cross-country ski world in an Olympic venue on an Olympic event.
It can be amazing boost of confidence to have a strong result on the Olympic course in a preview event like this, but it can also add a little extra pressure or overconfidence. So I think the athletes really need to just kind of focus here and try some different things and use this opportunity to just try to figure out this course.
Weber and Bib 21 sitting at the back of the field. But at the lead, relatively comfortable pace it looks like so far being set at the front by Jonsu and Fendrich.
Putting everyone else on notice that they are ready to go for it all out in this final.
Into the downhill, this turn we've seen come around the opposite direction for years, now going to the right. Just a slight deviation on the use of the terrain and the direction of travel. It's a Fendrich and Jonsu at the front. Mattintalo marking. Anja Weber still hanging on the back of the group, as is Maya Dahlqvist. Three of these athletes also in the first quarterfinal heat, now in the final. So that first quarterfinal heat was stacked. Johanna Hagström now with a win already this season. She won the classic sprint in Ruka to start the season. She is in the right side of your screen in bib 4.
All right, looks like Jonsu is deciding she's going to go for it again.
Trying the same tactic. She hasn't won her heat yet, but she's advanced every single time doing this tactic, and she's going for it. Fendrick unable to match. Hagström now closing in her ever so slightly. And Hagström on the left side of the course sets herself up well for this turn. Martintel is struggling at the back. Fendrick, the only one really to answer so far, and Maya Dahlqvist in the silver sprint leaders bib of this Tour de Ski trying to get onto the top three, but you can see it just feels like it's gonna be too much to get the draft off Fendrick.
And here we're over to the 3-minute mark, and a lot of sprints now finish under 3 minutes. So this is the difference, where just over the top of that hill, the load is higher than other courses.
In the final, Joensuu leads into the downhill to the finish line. Hagström chasing, and Fendrick in third, ready to pounce. But the skis of the Finn look solid. Will there be oh, look at the gap made by Fendrick. She gets up almost half the distance, whereas the Swede didn't move at all. But the Finn holding on to a lead. She's looking through her legs back to see who's there, and she steps up and drives her home. Can Jasmine Joensuu take home her first ever World Cup win in Val di Fiemme? She's going to do it if she gets to the line, and she does. Arms in the air. What a race by Jasmine Joensuu from the front, showing what can be done from the front of the field into that downhill. Take note, everybody. Jasmine Joensuu won from the front today.
Fendrick made a good charge there. It looked like the momentum from her skis were edging her ever closer, but just ran out of room there in the last bit. So very strong performance from Joensuu. Finally breaks through, makes that win, just led from the wire today with first in the qualifier all the way through. And again, this is very impressive coming off of her results in the overall, just the week she's had in general. A new level for her.
Jasmine Joensuu, her first World Cup individual. She has a win in a team event, but she does not have a World Cup win except for today. She does it on the Olympic venue when all eyes are watching the Olympic preview event, and she comes home the winner. Big day for Jasmine Joensuu. Well, she likes Italy. Her only other time atop the winner's podium is in a team sprint in Konya last year in a team event, but she gets her first win, almost as to answer any of her critics from last year's World Cup Crystal Globe win. Like, I just won my first race on Olympic venue. And Keegan, go back to 2 days ago. She crossed the finish line 4th in the 20-kilometer classic. And that gives you a sign that she is firing on all cylinders. She seemed as excited then as she was today with that 4th place, but tells you that, you know, she came into this Tour de Ski sprint in Val di Fiemme clearly with some fitness confidence. How did that play into the win today?
Well, I think that was the real key difference in terms of giving her that confidence, because being more of a pure sprinter in the past, I don't know how much intel athletes got about this course ahead of time, but knowing that it was going to be a little longer and a little tougher, you're going to need fitness to succeed on this course, to make it through 4 rounds. And so to have the stamp in that 20K Classic, showing that the fitness is there, showing that the technique and the skis, everything's coming together, had to give her confidence going today, but still, you got to deliver. And that first in the she has qualified first so many times and then struggled to make it even to the final sometimes. So this was just a day to put everything together.
The nuance of this final downhill into the finish is very hard to read. We've watched now, around the quarterfinals, around the semifinals, and the final in the women's, and we've seen the people who go out and lead from the front off the top of the downhill lose, but Jasmine Joensuu pulled it off today. What do you think are the differences in the dynamics that she was successful compared to all the people who failed at that?
I think the difference for her was she carried momentum up and over the top of the hill. The other athletes were not far off, but she continued to power all the way over the flat, all the way around that turn. And so she really just kept that momentum going under the bridge, and that just kept Hagström from coming up into her draft. And Fendrick, was the kind of the benefactor there, in that she was able to come from 3rd place and use Hagström as the draft to slingshot into 2nd. But Joensuu had created enough of a gap that it was just impossible to close that up.
Jasmine Joensuu with a stroke of brilliance at the Olympic venue, and she goes from the front in an audacious move that might have told somebody other than her that this was not a winning move. Well, she proved it was a winning move. She took the lead at the top of the climb and got enough of a gap on Fendrich and Hagström to take the win. Nadine Fendrich, second for Switzerland, and third place, Johanna Hagström. On the podium again this season. Hagström's 10th World Cup podium, and her second this season after winning in Ruka.
Well, another reason why this is a really good day for Yasmin Yonsu is because she's sitting so well in the overall. So the bonus seconds that she's going to be able to pick up today on her rivals who did not make it into the final it's probably not enough to catch Jessie Diggins, but it's going to give her a nice advantage over Stadlober, and she's going to need, I think, every extra meter she can get.
It's a huge bonus for Yasmin Yonsu. We don't have the virtual Tour de Ski standings at the moment. We're hoping that graphic comes up to spell that out. But you can tell that Diggins should finish somewhere in the top 12. But the top 12, the time bonus for 12 is a minimum of 22 seconds for Diggins. But it's a full 60-second gap, full 60-second time bonus for Yasmin Yonsu, and she started the day 155 back, so she's going to be at least, worst case scenario, within 55 seconds of Jessie Diggins. Should be. Well, Diggins will take 22 seconds though, so it'll be a little more over a minute. Yonsu, the winner. Diggins will add 22 to that, to 55. 2:11. So about a minute.
Yasmin Yonsu, you're going out as bib number one after the qualification, and you take the victory. How does this feel?
This feels perfect.
It's your first World Cup victory. How describe that?
It's really, really cool. I knew that I'm in good shape. The whole season I've been knowing that my sprinting is really good, and I've been winning some of the best skiers in the world, and today I proved myself that I can do it.
This is also the Olympic course that we're going to race in just a month. How does that feel?
I wanted a good feeling with this course, and I think I managed to do that. But it's a different race, different weather, so now I just have to keep going and train well and rest well, and yeah.
What does this victory mean to you?
It means really so much.
Congratulations, Yasmin.
Thank you so much.
Yasmin Yonsu with a big performance there. She'll get 60 seconds for that win. And Diggins will get 7th, which will give her 32 seconds bonus. And I'm looking for Mo Ilar. She's in 11th spot, which will get her 24-second bonus, as opposed to Yasmin Yonsu with a 60-second bonus. Now we move to the men's competition.
Hello, guys.
And the final. Josef Klæbo from the Norwegians. The faithful. Here's Anton Grahn with a high water mark for him. What a heady position to be in going to the Olympic Games. And this will probably put, I think this singular day will absolutely put Anton Grahn on the Olympic team. Has to. Klæbo. No mystery as to whether he's going to be on the Olympic team, but I think Jan Stolben just punched his ticket to the Olympics as well. I think if nothing else, Grahn and Stolben have changed their trajectory of their careers by becoming Olympians today. And Ansgar Evensen knows what he has to do. He has to get across the line ahead of this man, Lars Heggen. They might both go, but they might not. So Heggen and Ansgar Evensen may be more aware of each other than anybody else in this field of 6.
Thank you, start position.
Men's 1.5 kilometer sprint final from Val di Fiemme to wrap up day 5 of 6, or stage 5 of 6. in this 2026 Tour de Ski. Chad Salma, Keegan Randall, we saw a great women's final in which Yasmin Yönesu defied the common logic and went out front and took the win from the top of the climb. But she did it in a very distinct way. She got a gap on the field. These men, every one of these men have seen what she just did.
Yeah, they can see that it is in fact possible, but I think she had the advantage of she's had such a strong tour, knew she had the capacity if she could stretch out the sprinters a little bit. I think this field here, you've got more tightly matched, so it would be hard pressed for someone to really ski away, but you never know. I mean, oftentimes when you think everyone's gonna play it tactical, you can catch people by surprise.
It sort of worked for Anton Grahn in the semifinals. The only man we've really seen come and try to really hang on after leading at the top, but Grahn sitting at the back now, realizing his best chance is probably to wait and strike at the top of the second climb. Almost running into the Norwegian Ansgar Evensen at the back of the group in group 15. Klæbo at the front. Anton Grahn doing exactly what he did last time, staying on the outside, marking Hagen.
Yeah, impressive move to Grahn to move up there, and he had to be, of course, very careful as he cut across that turn just to make sure he wasn't going to obstruct anybody, but he makes it through.
I would warn everybody to watch out for Jules Shabazz. He seems to find and sniff out the best lines, and knowing how to get in position at least to move on to each quarterfinal and semifinal. He never looked very competitive in the early part until he got to this climb. Now Shabazz looking maybe a little more labor than he has yet today. But Klæbo leading Hagen into this climb, and Ansgar Evensen has found himself at the front of the field with his two teammates. The Swede, Grahn, trying to rein on the Norwegian parade, and Jan Stolben, I think, is done. He is cooked.
Klæbo trying his turn now, trying to ski away from his competitors to see if he can win from the front, and he's got a pretty sizable gap.
And at the back of the group,
and they're letting him go.
Klæbo is gone. He is way off the front. So taking a page from the female winner just moments ago, Klæbo realizes that he can go from the front as well, and he's got a massive gap. And maybe we've just settled on our Olympic strategy, but you've got to have the skis to back that move up.
Yeah, and Klæbo, if anyone's going to have skis in the field, it's him. So smart move there to just get away.
Now it's a race for second as Klæbo is free and clear to win the stage and the World Cup title of Classic Sprint champion going into the Olympics. Klæbo glides across the line in the least fantastic of form, and Shabazz blows a kiss to the crowd, takes second, and Grahn gets on the podium for the first time in his career, stymieing Evensen and Hagen. Stolben limps across the line sixth. Klæbo knows what he knows what it takes, and he sniffed it out, and he applied what he'd learned to absolutely dominate that classic sprint. Now again, the Olympics will be a different thing. This is a Tour de Ski field. It's not a full sprint field. But Jules Shabazz is going to be very psyched with his performance. And Anton Grahn, out of nearly nowhere, Grahn comes in to take third spot in his first career podium of his young career. 21 years of age, Anton Grahn just put everyone on notice that he is for real.
Yeah, really smart racing by Grahn. Just kept himself in there all the time, kind of lurking, and just saved enough for that final push at the end. And just got his timing right coming up and over the bridge. And I think that is really the key to this finish stretch.
But the gap between
that was close.
Shabazz almost maybe didn't see how close Grahn was there. He almost nipped him at the line with that celebration though. And Lars Hagen looked a little bit defeated coming across the line in fifth there. Be interesting to see how that plays out, if Ansgar Evensen and Hagen are in fact going to be, if today will be the deciding factor, because it's the narrowest of margins. In the end, Evensen gets Hagen by about 0.8 of a second. Klæbo looking to post he will post his 4th victory of the season. His 104th of his career. And 23rd of the Tour de Ski stage. Now a full 10 stage wins ahead of second best Peter Nordic in history.
Yep, just printing new history chapters day by day here.
If you want to see history written, just tune into the Klæbo show. He's been writing it daily. But where did Anton Grön come from? That is an amazing story. 21 years of age, and usually we would have thought we had heard of a 21-year-old from Sweden capable of doing what he just did. He is a junior world champion though in 2025 last year in this classic sprint, so that should have informed our guesses with him today. He has not done much on the World Cup, but he's won in 2023 in the junior category and U23 world champion last year.
There you see Shabazz celebrating, almost losing the photo finish.
That's great. It would have been an embarrassing photo if he had lost, but Anton Grön delivering what he's done at the junior and U23 level today, a podium finish, a first for his career. And congratulations, Anton Grön. Hats off to you today for your first career podium and probably making the Olympic team.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how that's going to make Unger feel, because of course Grön just got Unger on in the to advance there, and so does it make you feel better that you're the guy you got out lunged by just made the podium, or but knowing they could be teammates in the team sprint?
That could be a very good team sprint. Unger and Grön can continue to churn out the kind of results he's doing here in this Tour de Ski. He was 48th in the opening freestyle sprint in the Tour de Ski. Was Grön. Finished 60th and 61st in the 15-kilometer and 5K, respectively, and then 35th in the 20-kilometer pursuit classic, and now his first career podium in 3rd place.
Not a lot of natural snow here on the other side of the valley.
For the 104th time in 196 starts, Johannes Klæbo is the winner of the FIS World Cup.
And that will just extend his lead going into the final climb tomorrow, which I'm sure is making him feel pretty good.
Trying to find, just waiting for the Tour de Ski standings to upload. Try to see if they're posted yet on the website.
You win the sprint here in the Olympic course that we're going to race in 1 month. How was this?
It was a cool race. I think a little bit different from what we did last year. One extra hill that kind of favorites people that are wanting to attack, and I feel like last year everyone stopped on the top. Now you get paid by really pushing hard, and I think that's a fair but also a really fun track, so I like it for sure.
So you're in favor for this track?
I will see, but it was a good day today, and I feel like I have kind of figured out my shape now these days, and now it's just one more stage, and then we can rest until the Olympics.
Yeah, one last stage, as you say, and it's the Alpe Sermist stage. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I hate it, but it's gonna be fun. I think it's a really tough race, but it's gonna be nice to finish up the whole tour now and start preparing for Olympics. So looking forward for tomorrow's race as well.
Congratulations and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Well, Keegan, you've gone up Chermis. What's it like?
Well, I'll tell you, this next 24 hours is really just the ball of nerves. You know, it's kind of a pit in your stomach because if you've done it before, you know exactly how hard that climb is, no matter how good a shape you're in. But at the same time, that top is your finish line. You know, got a big rest coming up after that. So, yeah, Klæbo, well, it's going to be hard. I'm sure, has to be feeling good, knowing he's got a good cushion going into tomorrow, knowing that the shape is there. I mean, that's the biggest relief of all. And this makes for a perfect run-in for the next month.
You see the overall sprint standings. Jasmine Jonsu sitting in 4th spot after the win today, just 8 points back behind Alpine Skiing sitting second, Johanna Ekström in third. We did see the Tour de Ski results come up the overall standings, and Jessie Diggins is continuing to lead, but Jasmine Jonsu is moving to 2nd spot ahead of Moa Ilar, and that sets up a great duel on the Alpe D'Huez for the women's competition for the podium spots tomorrow.
And the big wild card is Jasmine Jonsu. You know, how can she climb? We've seen so many editions of the Tour de Ski where the final climb factors so much. You can have great results all week, but if you can't climb that hill, a lot of other athletes, we can see a lot of shifting in the overall standings. So she's got her work cut out for her.
Well, we've got our internet searches ahead of us for the evening kick in to figure out the handicap for tomorrow's Tour de Ski final stage. And I can tell you, just having done this for years and years, that you don't really know. Jessie Diggins has a wide and varied history on Alpe D'Huez. She's had poor performances, she's had some great ones. But I think a lot of it has to do with how you're doing this season and where your fitness is. And I think Jessie Diggins and this athlete here, Jasmine Jonsu, they can deliver tomorrow because their fitness is so solid right now.
Yes, that certainly helps going into the final climb, and for Diggins to be so solid across really every single stage of this Tour de Ski, good in sprints, good in distance. That's got to give her a lot of confidence. She doesn't have to go out there tomorrow and do anything too crazy. She just has to have another solid day. And again, you can't underestimate the power of momentum. When things are going so well, you know, you're literally in the best shape of your entire career. You know, and this will probably be your last time up the Alpe D'Huez. So take some time to kind of soak it in and make sure you cross that finish line, knowing you've left it all out there. Yeah, I think it's going to be strong for her, but the physiology it takes to be successful on Alpe D'Huez is pretty unique. You know, there's no other climbs like this on the World Cup Tour. So again, for Jasmine Jonsu, I mean, she's had some fantastic distance results this season in both Skagen Classic and a great tour here. So she has a lot of reasons to be confident, but when you put that much load in your legs, particularly when you're a very power-oriented athlete, you know, we saw, you know, Marit Bjørgen also kind of had a varied history on that final climb. One of the strongest athletes to ever be in the sport. So it's going to set up for an exciting race tomorrow. And then, of course, you've got Stadlober, who, in theory, physiologically should be ready to have a solid climb. And Moa Ilar, who's been a strong skater.
It's going to be exciting any way you look at it. You see Nadine Fendrick with her second place finish. She won here last year, but it was Finn Jonsu. The plan for this year at the top on the podium. She'll go second. She'll be in the podium for an 18th time in her career. And Johanna Hagström will be on the podium for a 10th time in her career. What a year Jasmine Jonsu has turned out for the Finnish team. She one of the few foreign athletes to go to the United States and ski in the NCAA ranks and then come back to Europe and succeed on the World Cup level. And she is succeeding in a huge way. Skied from the University of Denver. And nice to see her come back nearly a decade after her graduation from Denver and still competing at the highest level and developing from that point on.
Diamo il benvenuto alle atlete protagoniste.
So much anticipation for the Olympic Winter Games coming up here in 35 days. And happening right here in Val di Fiemme, this Tour de Ski stage, a preview of what to expect in the classic sprint. The women top six. Sixth place goes to Anja Weber. Second best finish of her season. And then Johanna Mattinfello in fifth spot today. And that will be her season's best. Maya Dahlqvist as well, in fourth. And Johanna Hagström on the podium for the second time this season after a win in Ruka. She is 10th podium of her career. Nadine Fendrick takes one step down from last year, but still happy to be in this spot going into the Olympic Games, having skied this course and knowing what to expect. But the story today is all about this woman, Yasmin Joensuu. First ever victory for Yasmin Joensuu of Finland. She adds this victory to her Crystal Globe from last year as the overall World Cup winner in the sprint discipline. We got a precursor of her fitness in the fourth place finish 2 days ago in the 20-kilometer classic, and she comes to Val di Fiemme in this Olympic course and shows everyone how it's done.
A big performance for Hagström today, because we talked a lot about the fight for the Norwegian men's Olympic team, but you think about the Swedish sprint team for the upcoming Olympics. It's also going to be tough to choose. Of course, Jonas Sundling wasn't here, Lynn Svan wasn't here, Emma Ribom did not make it into today, pulled out of the tour earlier. So a lot of names to consider for those 4 slots that Sweden will have for the tour.
That's a great point. It's a great point, and it's never a sure thing. And Johanna Hagström she's done well. She's won a classic sprint this season, and it is a classic sprint at the Olympics and on this course. But this should help, you'd think.
I have to think they're putting a lot of weight into this, just for this proximity to the Olympics, the performance on this course, just because this course is uncharacteristic compared to a lot of other sprints. You know, this consensus has been to try to keep sprints about the 3-minute mark. A lot of them have been slightly under, and this one was 3:46 today.
So Yasmin Joensuu taking a long sprint victory in Val di Fiemme for her first ever. Her fitness showed in toe block and paid off today. A 3-minute 45-second classic sprint course. One stage left of this Tour de Ski. Coming up tomorrow. Recap the United States performances today. Just outside the semifinal, or the final, was Jessie Diggins in 7th. And Julia Kern finishes the day in 18th spot. Other North Americans, the 2 Americans on the start order. Allison Mackey finished 38th. Jasmine Drolet of Canada in 47th. 47th, sorry. And that is the remainder. That is the remainder of the North American athletes still in this Tour de Ski. Lots of athletes dropping out prior to this Val di Fiemme Classic Sprint. Things winding down as evening approaches in Northern Italy. The men's podium ceremony just ahead.
A little bit of a stark visual here as we think about we're a month away to the Olympic Games, and you see that the venue is primarily man-made snow on that side of the valley. But this being a long, narrow valley, of course, the sun at this time of year does not really peak on the Val di Fiemme Stadium for too much of the day, so that helps preserve the snow.
Sanoitte, että vähän aukeaa tuossa asento tuossa alamäessä. Miten tää on vitusti?
Ois mä uskaltanut sanoa, se sanotaan poikien kanssa vähän mietin.
Jarsa menee olympialle, että Pikanmäen päälle ja huutaa, otat sen! Mikä mulla ei jäänyt mieleen, otat sen! Oisko me nyt keräs? Ei, kun nyt on mieleen. Monettenako mä oon tourulla? Aika. Huomenna tulee laskua.
Mallille.
Eikä ole nousua. Otat sen.
Näin vaan.
Champagne, Joby? Yeah?
What do you want?
I can give you the clue when you go in.
You were so strong in Lithuania, you missed all part.
I was just waiting for someone.
There was no one.
No. Like I said, I didn't know myself.
Nice back up.
Please welcome our successful in sixth place, representing Germany, Jan Stelman.
Jan Stoblen with an all-time best as 6th place today for Germany. A big day for him. And another big day for Lars Hagen. He's been in almost every single podium ceremony this Tour de Ski has to offer. Hagen, though, eclipsed today by his teammate, Ansgar Evensen, on a day he sure would have liked to have beaten him just to ensure that he made a spot on the Olympic team. And while Hagen has really emerged, this junior world champion, Anton Gran, has as well. He takes a 3rd place today and a spot on the podium for the first time in his young career to join Lars Hagen as an emerging star from this Tour de Ski. That we hadn't talked about much prior to this edition of the Tour. And Jules Chapat gets his 4th career podium, 2nd place today behind the man who simply does it better than anybody else, and by a stretch, and he exhibited it again today, Johannes Husser Klæbo. Figured out this venue already, Keegan.
Yes, he has. Although I think you could throw just about any venue at him at this point, and he would solve it well.
Klæbo getting his name yelled into the Italian evening air from his countrymen and fans. Stadium set up for the Olympic Games. Big gallery of bleachers here on the finish line of this Val di Fiemme course, and we get a nice peek of what we're gonna be seeing a lot of in a month's time.
It'll be a quick turnaround for these guys as the men will race first tomorrow. So they'll have a little bit shorter rest than the women.
Going up Alpe Cermis, and is there any way you can really prepare for the ski, for what they're about to face?
At this point, I think everyone's feeling like, let's just get this over with. The more it looms over, the worse it starts to get.
So they call it a 10-kilometer freestyle, but it's a unique event. It's about a 9-kilometer course. They ski roughly 6.5, 7 kilometers to the base of an alpine hill, and then ski to the top of, or at least to a mid-station of an alpine ski resort. And it's very steep, a lot of switchbacks. It's the only thing like it in the sport. An absolute test of guts and really your oxygen carrying and deliverance capacity of your cardiovascular system.
Yeah, and at this point, when you have so many races in your legs, you just got to keep the skis moving, kind of keep that engine whirring, and but all you've got to do is get to that finish line, and then you can lay in the snow in complete physical agony, but feeling so accomplished for a really solid week of racing.
One stage left in this 20th Tour de Ski. We hope you'll join us tomorrow as today's winners, Klæbo, Chapat, and Anton Gran, celebrate their podium and their success today in the men's sprint classic. Tomorrow, the men get underway up to climb up Alpe Cermis at 5:30 Eastern North America time, 12:30, just after noon, 12:30 Central European time. The men will ski up Alpe Cermis, and the women will follow at 9:30 in the morning East Coast time, 3:30 Central European time. For Keegan Randall, I'm Chad Salma saying so long. We'll see you tomorrow for the big climb up Alpe Cermis and the conclusion of this 20th Tour de Ski.
Bravo.